Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Use Your Power, Young People, or Someone Else Would. A charted Prashant at BITS Pilani Goa 2022. So, the way I read it is, use your power, or else someone else will. I'm guessing perhaps the message is the fact that, vote, go out there and vote on policies that you want, because if you don't, someone else will, well, obviously other people will vote and their policies will come into play instead of what you want to come into play, generally speaking. So if you don't vote and policies get into play that you don't want, well, you can only blame yourself because you didn't vote. It's not to say that your vote's gonna like turn the tides of the thing, but still, there's probably a lot of people out there who probably didn't vote because they think, oh, someone else will do it. Maybe that's my guess. Let's go and get started.
Now, I have a question there. What we are taught in conflict management is when you're dealing with conflict, the best way is to allow each other to take the other person's perspective and then come to a resolution through compromise. The current state of the world doesn't seem to be so. In fact, there are economic incentives to even keep the conflict open. Okay, so how do you combat this system, especially in the current state of wokeism, where wokeism is actually gaining a lot of currency? You can't even, be in the camp of ignorance is a bliss or be fence sitting. That's one thing, sir. And secondly, I'm all about hypocrisy. In fact, I believe almost every human is a hypocrite. But what I don't understand is entitlement, which comes with hypocrisy. Like, for example, everything to religion, from religion to climate change. How come, a middle class Indian switching on his air condition with coal powered electricity, is committing a great blasphemy against environment, but EV cars, which are essentially made from materials which are obtained from destruction of Amazon rainforest, is considered eco-friendly?
Holy smokes! Are you serious? I genuinely cannot believe this. And what it is the fact that how is this problem in India? I swear I thought this was only a Western a Western issue. But again, I say this, and my theory is the fact that it's not necessarily Western, but it's just a development problem, I guess you could say. Like anywhere there's going to be a developed area, because it's not just developed nations or whatever, it's going to be developed areas. And because obviously even within developed nations, if you go to the more remote areas, they're not necessarily going to have this issue because they're in a remote area. So it's going to be in developed areas. And wow, wokeism and and yes, I believe everyone's a hypocrite as well. I try not to be as much as possible. I try to be understanding and listen and try to make compromises and understand that, when you make a rule, I won't say sometimes you have to break the rule, but, you shouldn't always, there shouldn't be too many exceptions to rules. Otherwise, what's the point of it? But, entitlement, yeah. I mean, like, that's my biggest issue too with people, with some people in general too. Is they feel like they're entitled to things, and it's kind of strange to also to hear about his saying about environment. This is the thing I see, like, a lot of people in Europe and some people in the U.S., but I think it's mostly in Europe where they're pushing like reduce carbon whatever, but I think even in I'm not sure, I don't know if I hear that in America, but like Europe, I believe for the most part, and America is very low in carbon emissions, relatively speaking. These people need to go to China. Need to talk to them about it. But again, at the same time, I can understand a certain degree that not every country has to go through this phase to get to the past their industrial revolution, you could say. to get to modern technology, because obviously modern technology costs a lot of money, so they cannot afford to buy it from someone else. They have to make some stuff to make the money to buy that stuff or to make it themselves, and they have to go through this phase. All of Europe had to do that, and all of America had to do that. I'm sure America was not, pure clean energy throughout the entirety of history. No, I'm sure it was pretty, like I think California had to put some harsh restrictions to have their air clean because it was really bad, like acid rain kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm amazed that he's talking about these things. I swear he's talking like he's in Europe or in America.
Okay, and also adding to the wealth of super rich.
So that's just propaganda, no? That's just lack of knowledge. So once you make it known that the very battery in an EV car is actually an environmental disaster, the kind of elements that are used in it and how rare they are and how much soil must be unearthed to just get to that. And then the fact that countries like India have mostly coal-fired plants. So even if you have to charge that battery, then you're burning coal. You make that known. And then the moral superiority,
Yep.
the ethical value attached with an EV car goes down. This one is a clear case of
Ignorance.
lack of propaganda. Propaganda is a great thing. You need to publicize the right information. And the corporations selling those cars won't do that, obviously.
Of course not. It'll hurt themselves.
So you have to do that. And you have the power of social media on your side. Post as much as you can, ask people to share, let people know.
More than that, there's actually a YouTube video to watch about getting the cobalts and stuff in Africa, and they're showing women with children on their backs because they're digging out these materials, and I'm sure it's not healthy to. I don't know for sure. I can't remember, but they have kids working there, and because that's their only source of income. I mean, one, it's a good thing. Why? Because they're getting money, so they can afford to feed themselves. Without these jobs, I don't know if they can or cannot. I'm not sure. But two, there's the negative side because it's bad. I don't know if these things are safe to touch or anything. I'm not exactly sure. The conditions they're working in is probably more than likely not safe. They have children working there, and pregnant women and women carrying their babies in the back because they have to feed their family and themselves. So you can show that too. I remember watching again a YouTube video that showed like the terrible working conditions in Africa, and the stuff needed to grab all these things are just like really, really bad. But I think I heard one part where it's worse than a regular combustion engine, but at the same time I heard somewhere else that over the period of time that you run these vehicles, it's actually a little bit cleaner. I don't know how much cleaner, but just a little bit cleaner.
You asked a lengthy question. I don't think I've answered all of it. What was it? All conflict starts first of all within. No, does it not? Does it not? Wars first start in the mind. We say that when a war is already raging within, then enemies necessarily appear from all sides externally. Wars are first of all internal, and then you look for enemies outside. So knowing yourself is the way. Inner education is the way. And if you don't have inner education, all you have is scientific education and technological advancement, then you are giving more and more sophisticated tools to people who are internally ignorant. The fellow does not know what he wants, but he has his finger on the nuke button. What would he do? Internally flustered, ignorant, hateful, unfulfilled, angry and jealous. And he is commanding nuclear forces. He can launch an ICBM. What do you expect now? Most of the nuclear powers are democracies, are they not? So we have politicians sitting as the commanders of the armies, right? Now on one hand, we keep blasting our politicians as very, very disgusting people. On the other hand, we have given them our nuclear stockpiles to command and fire. Don't you see that's a very odd, inflammable combo? The same politician that you accuse of being a rioter, an arsonist, a corrupt person, a vile man, sometimes even a murderer. This same politician then becomes the prime minister, the president, or somebody. And this person is commanding 400 nuclear warheads now. Don't you see how precarious our position is? The entire world loves to hate, let's say, somebody like Trump. And you would even say that he's an imbecile, he's mentally unstable, emotionally, he's a wreck. All those things were said about him, no? And what was he commanding? The world's largest nuclear force capable of destroying the earth
Like
at least 20 times over.
I was going to say 6, but
That's the might of the US nuclear arsenal. Not one country. It can destroy the entire planet 20 times over.
I'm laughing just because. Why do we need that? Just in case blowing it up 19 times isn't enough. We just want to make sure there's one more.
And when you are that kind of a person inside, as we said, you will necessarily be able to locate, if not create, enemies on the outside. That's the reason why powerful countries have to necessarily get into conflicts. If there is no war, then power starts feeling suffocated. What do you do with all these sleek missiles? See how beautiful they look. They must be put to use.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought he was going to say, or the way I understood it was the fact that in order to have power, or a reason to have power, you must have conflict. In the sense, you must generate the reason why you need something. So, kind of like, I've heard certain helpful groups in America are not trying to help because what their groups is supposed to do is put themselves out of business. So an example would be, just say for example me, if I want to end world hunger, right? Say if I end world hunger, then people will stop giving me money. It's like, well, I don't want that. I want to keep doing my job. I'll end a few world hungers here, but make sure there's ways to get more world hunger. So in order for me to keep my job, I have to also create the problem so that I never go out of business. Kind of like that.
So then you search for wars. Then you search for wars.
Yeah.
Now you're saying there is so much conflict in the world.
Oh, there you go.
That conflict is coming from the mind of the man. Which man am I talking of? Not just the decision maker, but actually all those who put the decision maker in the chair. And who are those people? You and me. Because there is darkness in our mind, so we put dark people in positions of power. Do you see that? You will do as you are, and that implies you will vote as you are. No? So if the common man is steeped in ignorance, that's the kind of leaders he is going to select or elect. Correct? And then they will fight. Then they'll fight.
I'm wondering if in this part he's trying to say, like, if, say, someone running for president is calling out, oh, this is going to happen, but he's ignorant of that fact, and I believe him, and I'll vote for him because I'm ignorant of that fact. So therefore my ignorance gave this person of ignorance power, because we're both ignorant of the fact of whatever he's complaining about.
Is that surprising? Is that not obvious? So what is the solution? Mass awareness is the solution. It cannot be a top-down thing. It has to arise from the grassroots. You have to know what is valuable. You have to know that knowledge, realization, freedom are more important than anything else. And then there is a solution to conflict. Otherwise, you can keep having any numbers of conferences and summits. Nothing comes out of it. In fact, we had a few particular conferences. The Second World War came out of that. You know, the Second World War was born out of actually a treaty.
Yeah.
The Treaty of
Versailles? Oops, hold on, let me rewind that one.
So you can the Treaty of So you can actually get together and have a conference, and that conference results in a world war. And you'll say it's a peace conference. It's a conference to keep the universe
safe
in one piece. It has to begin with you. It has to begin with me. There is no other way. This might sound old-fashioned, not very exciting, but sorry, this is the only solution. And if this is not the solution, then calamity is the option. The ones who are my age or elder than me in this room will probably escape with lesser damage, because we anyway don't have too many decades to live. But you people have what? 5 decades, 6 decades? On an average, that's how long you'll live. So the onus is on you.
Kind of sucks, huh? So what I'm getting at here is the fact that he's saying that the reason why the change must happen with you and not necessarily everyone else is because eventually these people, these old people, well, maybe change for them is too late. Maybe. And there's nothing you can really do about it if it's too late for them. But you, being young, can change yourself and then gain power to make that change for yourself. Or anyone else in your age group that can get this, how do I say, I'll use the word he used, awareness. This, I forget what was, global awareness? This just awareness that, where the conflict's coming from, and, making sure that you're well, I don't know what he didn't say anything else. Just the mass awareness, basically, and because everyone's ignorant of the fact of, I'm guessing, of who we truly are is what he's trying to say, or more along the lines where the true conflict is coming from, which is within. So yeah, he's right. I mean, for the old people out there, it's kind of too late for them if they haven't already realized, and now it's time for the young people to become aware and take power and try to reel in all the damage. It's sad, but the problems get kicked down to the next generation. Um,
To not let the planet degrade beyond a point. You
Yep.
are inheriting it, you will be inhabiting it. The older ones who are ruining it would ruin it and be gone.
Yep.
And all the murk and the debris will be on your head.
To clean up. Yep.
So it's you who should stand up. No? The 70 and 80-year-olds are doing all kinds of nonsense, and they'll happily die now.
They've lived their
You
life.
will be left to bear the brunt. Don't let them do what they are doing. Social media, democracy, technology, they are in some sense great equalizers. Even a common man today has a voice.
Yep.
Use that voice. Even the president of the world is just a Twitter account. And you too have that, no? Even the president cannot have two accounts. Leverage that. Leverage that. And if you don't leverage that,
Leave it at that.
then all kinds of disgusting forces are there to leverage that. No? You know the kind of stuff that goes viral on social media. So all the disgusting creatures are very efficiently and very dedicatedly doing their jobs. And the ones who mean well to the planet are just conferring and thinking and hesitating. Where does that leave us? Get up, fight, stand up for what you know is right. Make your life and this planet worth living. I'm preaching. So sorry.
So I will say this, yeah. So again, I guess let me clarify a little bit on some things. You don't necessarily have to gain political power to make changes in this world. Obviously, there's many avenues to help the world to heal the damage. If you can find a way to recycle plastics, that'd be amazing. I think someone created like a worm or something, some type of germ that actually eats plastic quite rapidly. Next thing is to find a way to, I don't know, reduce carbon emissions. You know, there are many, or renewable energy as well, that doesn't, take up so much space or use so much material or something. There's solar, of course, but there's issues with that. There's wind, which is major issues with that. There's nuclear power, which I think there's major issues with that. Then there's wave one, which is relatively new, at least for my understanding, where because the ocean is constantly moving, they can put something in the water and the waves will generate energy somehow. I think dams do something similar anyway. But yeah, just finding a way to help fix the trash, the plastics mostly. Ways of renewable energy that's not so detrimental, I suppose. I'm not sure. And then going into power in the politics side and giving good policies that are, help to reduce the amount of damage that's being done. I mean, I don't know what precisely, besides the few that I just gave, that could be done. But yeah, I mean, hey, look, I was thinking, it's like, man, I am glad that I'll die before, hopefully, before the world just, I don't know, bellies up or something that just goes bad. Hopefully. It's really weird to say that, but yeah, I don't think I'll live long enough for it to be too bad, but it's getting there. Well, anyways, that's my reaction to Use Your Power, Young People, or Someone Else Would. Acharya Prashant at Bits, BITS, Pilani, Goa, 2022. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.